Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to be looking at how to wrap a crystal point. So if you want to see how this one comes together, then stick around. Hey everyone, it is Leslie from Lolabelle, and today we are going to be wrapping a very simple wrap on a point. So we're going to use, I think, this quartz, maybe this one. We'll make our minds up in a moment, but just as an example, obviously these points are quite smooth. They have been obviously cut down, whereas these ones are a little bit more sort of rougher shapes. So we've got two citrines and an amethyst, but the same principle would apply when wrapping these as to these. So let's have a look at what we're going to be doing. Okay, so we're going to wrap the bigger of the two, and we're going to be using a copper round wire. So all I'm going to do is start by connecting these four together. So I've got my spool of, these are, the base wires are going to be 0.8mm and the weaving wire is going to be 0.4mm. So I'm just going to connect these four together. Oops. And just at the base of this pendant. I used to wrap points quite a lot, but I need my little doofer today, I think. So I used to wrap points quite a lot, but I don't really know why I stopped, to be honest with you. I think you just become a bit, I don't know, it's not less adventurous, because you can still do quite adventurous things with a point, but yeah, I don't know why I stopped. I think it's probably because I just couldn't find nice points that I wanted to actually wrap most of the time. But right, so we're going to connect these all up together, give it all a good smush in, and just make sure that the wires are all sitting nice and flat next to each other. So because it's round, you don't get that same nice sort of flat edge that you would with the square and half square. No, the square and half round wire, but it can still look very, very pretty. So I'm just going to trim off there and on that side as well, and just give the ends a bit of a smush down. So just trying to compress that weave in as much as you can. Now, with any point, you get sort of weird ends, sharp bits. So what I want to try and do is get this, you can see this detail here where it's got like a little bit of a, not a break, but a detail on it. I'm going to keep that to the back because I don't want it to be too much in focus. So we're just going to do what we would usually do and just create that bend in the wire. I've got too many wraps on one side, so I'm just going to remove a few of those. And hey presto, problem fixed. And then trim off that excess. Give it another smush down. Sorry, there's an aeroplane flying over my house. Sounds like a fighter jet. Yay! Get so many planes flying over my house. Okay, so the point is going to sit in to that section there. Okay, there really is a fighter jet flying over my house. Might be the red arrows, but I don't know. Okay, so once we've got it sat in there, what we want to do is just shape those wires up so they just come up the sides. So they're just going to cradle that point. Now this is where it gets fun, because we're gonna do a little bit of crisscrossing with these front wires. So with this front wire, we're gonna bend it across and bring it over to the other side so it meets up with these four. And then at the same time, I'm going to just move the front one of these four out of the way. It always seems like there's something noisy going on outside my house whenever I start recording a YouTube. I don't know why. Right, so I'm just going to move that one out. So that's going to come over the top. So we're holding these up. This one is going to come over. And what we want to do is, you need like 3 hands for this bit. We want to try and meet it up, and then we're going to, once we've got it where we want it, bend it up so it sits with these. And then going back to just holding everything in place. This one is going to go into a swirl and come across. Holding it all in place. And I'm actually going to cut a lot of that off because we don't need it. And get it where we want it. So everything's sitting there. And then this one, this one's going to come over like so. And then again, we'll do the same thing here. So when it gets to where we want it, we're just going to shape it up so it sits with these. And then this one, rather than actually doing what I said in the first place, is going to reverse like so. And then again, I am just going to trim some of that off and get rid. Okay, so at the moment, the stone is sitting inside like so. Yeah, it's all good. Right, now I'm going to go back to my weaving wire, and before I do anything to weave it all together, see how it's just changing it all the time. Just get the stone back in wherever you want it to sit. That's it there. Check your wires. Okay, so what we're going to do is with these 2 ends that we've trimmed, we're going to do like a little end swirl. So I'm going to cut a little bit more off. And then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. I'm just going to give it a good swirl. Might even trim a bit more off actually. This is why I don't make points very often anymore, because I change my mind constantly on them. Okay, so what we want is when that point is sat in, everything sits and can be connected like so. So everything's going to end up being woven together. And do the same over here. I'm just going to draw that into a curve. Like so. And put it over. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold all of these bits together and weave this round wire so it holds it all in place. So as you can see, yes, it's a fiddly one. Now you can make points as simple as you want them to be, but I've always sort of thought, you know, decorate and then learn from it as well. Okay. And the other thing, I would just like to point out that the wire I'm using at the moment is, it's kind of somewhere between soft and hard. So it does sort of bounce around a little bit. So if you've got a soft wire, you'll probably have a lot more sort of ease, not ease, but just less arguments with the wire. But I didn't want to do this one with square. Okay, so I'm just going to go up and in between here just to tie this end off, and then I'm going to trim it and tuck it into the inside of the pendant. And there we'll go one more so it sits in that swirl like so, and then we'll trim that end off as well, and then we'll mimic that on the other side. So we just want to check that the perfect, so you can see it's all held together here. And I'm just going to come in with my flat nose pliers and just smush and tidy like so, and then grab another piece of my weaving wire and do the same on this side. So again, just holding everything, and we're not going for symmetry here. This is not about being symmetrical. It's just about, well, it's just about designing something. So there's a kink in the wire now. So as I say, the wire itself is, you can see it's quite bouncy. So it does like to argue about its positioning sometimes. But these are the challenges that teach us. And then again, I'm just going to bring that end through and just tie off the end of this wire. And then I'll just cut that and with the end round, and then this bit we're just going to go one more around that swirl, hook it in, trim off the end, and then flat nose plier, smushing it all together, getting it all nice and tidy. Okay, so bring your stone back in and just pop it into, that's it, so where it fits nice. Okay, and then this wire that we've already kind of done one zigzag line over, it's going to come, we're going to actually do it a bit square. So what I want is my flat nose pliers. I don't think you can see. Flat nose pliers are just going to sit there, and then I'm just going to take that wire and bring it across the front, squishing it all in, bringing it over, and then we do the same on the back. So again, finding that backmost wire, which is this one. Same thing, we're gonna just give it a bit of a squareness to it, holding it all together, bringing it across like so. So now these two wires are gonna again become a swirl. So I'm gonna trim them off. And then, yeah, I'll do this with my chain nose pliers this time. Swirls always seem to go better with chain nose pliers. And we're just going to build that swirl so it can hook up on there. And then same with this end, we're just going to twizzle it round. Until we get the swirl we want. I'm going to chop some more off that because it's a bit too long. And then we can just pull that around like so. And then we want some more. I'm actually going to trim that bit off as well because it looks a bit. That's a bit better. Right. So we want a little bit more of our weaving wire, a little bit more fiddly stuff. So we're just going to hook in and just wrap again, keeping the wires nice and tidy together. So we'll just sit nice and flat, and then building that up into that little swirl. I think we'll do one more and then bringing it round. Okay, so what we'll do is we will trim off that bit of excess. We can use it on the other side, and again that bit on the other side at the bottom. And there you have that side done. And then we do the same on this side. So again, we're just going through. It's really hard to do this without blocking the camera view. Right, so we're getting there now. Push that down and pull it around. Okay, so I'm just going to squish that down. And then we'll trim off all of our excesses. Okay, and we can get in there and give that all a nice smush. Okay, so now we're at a point where it's all sort of secure. So what we want to do is now start to draw the wires in to the center, and then we're going to hook them up so we can start making the bail. Like so, to create our bail. So what we're going to do is hold it all together, and we're just going to secure the wires in place. 4 or 5 wraps, nice and tidy. I'm not going to put all 4 wires into the bail. I'm going to do 2. So I'm going to bring 2 forward and 2 at the back, and we're going to have a woven bail. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 3 weaves each side, 2 and 3, and then just work our way up the bow until everything is covered, and then we'll bend our bow round. So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Alright, so I don't want the bail too wide on this one. There's a lot of sort of detail actually down on the stone, so you could do quite a basic bail. I'm just trying to give the top a bit of depth. 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll chop the ends off of this a little bit because they're quite long. It'll make it easier for me to actually wrap. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Smush. 1, 2, 3. So you can see I'm doing quite a thin woven bail. Again, like I say, not too much drama, not too much sort of size and width. We want to, this pendant's kind of tall and narrow, so keep the pendant on theme with it. 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Get pliers out, smoosh. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's a really simple bail design. So it's literally 3 wraps between both. So 3 on one side, 3 on the other, back to the other side, and you just keep going up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just give it all a big smoosh, and then we can start to draw it all back in. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. So just start pinching it back together now, so it starts to come back to a narrow point. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Swoosh. Last couple. 1, 2, and 3. Oops. 1. Still crossing over. Buggers. 2 and 3. Okay, so once you get back to a point where you're pretty much on top of each other, we're just going to go around both together. 2, 3, and then we're just going to go around one wire 3 times as well, just to secure the end. 2 and 3, and then disconnect your spool, and then we're just going to smush that end in. So then what we're going to do is just go down, pinching it all the way down to get everything nice and tight, And then we'll just tie off this end of the weave by weaving it into the frame. We're just going to do a couple of wraps around one side. Again, just ties off that end, like so. A bit of smush, and then we'll just cut away the excess that we've got there. Okay, so now we've got the top sorted. We'll just grab our bail making pliers. So I'm just going to tip that bail forward a little bit, and then I'm going to go around and just bring it back in at the base. So you can see it's just come back there, and just give it a bit of a kick with your nail or your pliers, whichever one. And then I'm just going to bring one wire around. I'm just going to wrap it around a few times, and then trim the end of that one off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kick it around with my pliers and draw it under. So it's going to go underneath there. Again, that's just going to stop it from getting loose and coming out. And then this one is going to come the other way around. And again, just do a couple of wraps. And then we'll just do the same on this side. So we'll just smush off the end. And then just kick that end in so it just sits in there. And then you've got two left. So what you do with these two, entirely up to you. What I am going to do is I'm going to give it some spiral action, but just keep pulling those wires around and then just gradually allowing that spiral to come out and get bigger. Like so. And I'm just going to push it all over. That's it. And then when I've got to the size I want, I'll just push it over, bring the bail back in. That's it. So it sits a bit more central. And I'm just going to take these two around and just again, just firm it all up onto that frame. And then where I can see a gap at the back, I'm going to trim and then hook these under, give them a smush, hook it under, give it a smush, and there you have it. How to wrap a crystal point. So if you want to give that one a try, let me know how you get on in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me again for another video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. A little bit more sort of technical, I suppose, in a way, even though it's a reasonably straightforward stone to wrap. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.